Okay. Didn't do a video for the last 2 weeks, um, but I was sharing kind of what I was looking for on stream more so. But here we go. We have for the week of June 1st, this is going to start June. We're going to be moving into the summer, which historically is a little bit thinner. That's not always the case. Obviously, you get some big weeks in there too. We're going to get some clean runs, especially being at all time highs. I don't foresee that. And with everything going on, I don't foresee major issues finding moves and collecting points. But this is going to start June for us. We're going to go June 1st through the 5th. Economic calendar, which is in our newsletter. We have really small stuff Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be ADP employment. Thursday JOLTS as always, and then Friday we have non-farm payroll. So we do have some big news. Looking at this right now, the weekend price, it has moved up and down a good bit, but it was up here earlier. It was up a good bit. It was up. Not really sure actually here. It was up a good bit. I was kind of tracking it yesterday, and then as of right now, it looks like we're going to open kind of flat. At one point, it was down 40 or so points, but anyway, it looks like we're not going to get a huge gap this week, which is nice. And I'll show you why, because we have targets on both sides that we're looking for. We've gotten 9 bullish weeks in a row on the S&P, and this one just gapped up and never came back to the gap. So, as bullish as we have been, and as much as it has been paying off to just be bullish and not really question it, everybody knows, right? You don't want to be early. You don't want to be early on bearishness. Definitely not. But everyone knows that at some point we are going to get some sort of retracement. I don't think we're going to get some giant crash. I really don't. Not yet. But I don't think we're going to continue forever. And we'll see where we end this range, where we top out at some point. It could definitely go further. This is super, super, super bullish, but at some point you got to think that we are due for some sort of retracement. We're not going to overly hunt it, but I'm very open to it. It might not be the cleanest of retracements as well. It might spend some time chopping around before we get any sort of significant move, but as we're looking at the weekly, it's very bullish. I'm not going to say like it's overextended or anything, but I would be perfectly acceptable, or I think it would be perfectly acceptable to look for some of these areas to be filled in, especially like long-term target. I think that this is daily liquidity that I have marked there, but this guy is, that's great liquidity, or even coming back to the midpoint of this wick here would be, sorry, it's a little bit tough without the mouse. On NASDAQ, we got the same thing. We basically have no wick on this weekly candle because we just gapped up on Monday, which was the bank holiday, and then traded back. We traded back to the low, or we traded back to the high of basically the gap candle, but we never came into the gap at all. So that's why the week looks like that. If you drop down, it makes more sense. But we've been doing a lot of gaps. This was pretty clean how we filled in this daily, and on the 4-hour, it was pretty clean last week, to be fair. But overall, we're not getting a lot of down movement. We're not getting a very organic kind of move here. We're just going, which is fine. A lot of volume imbalances, a lot of targets for when we do start to come down. But anyway, I apologize for the amount of lines on the chart, but this is really what I want to get to in this video is Friday. We retraced into a 4-hour in Asia and then basically, rejected from it and pushed out of it for the day. And what we left behind is important because that is going to set up our targets for the week, especially on ES. ES did take London low on Friday and we got SMT. But as you can see, there's a lot of liquidity here. There's a couple resting lows as well as a couple resting highs. And basically for Monday, Tuesday, what I'm looking for, see if we can drag it there. There we go. Basically all that I'm looking for on Monday, Tuesday is which side's going to be taken out first and then where we're going to go from there. I see the argument for lower highs and we'll start the down move and we might not even take the highs. I'm okay with that. But because like coming back to here would make a lot of sense, sweeping all this out. So I'm open for Sunday open and Monday to just go in one direction. That's on my mind. I'm not necessarily like predicting that that's the most likely outcome, but with how many things we have below us, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't come up here. Now, if ES wanted to come take all these highs, NQ wanted to take these highs, which I was surprised that. I was surprised that at Friday close we didn't come take all this. It's either leaving that for early in this upcoming week or sign of the start of retracement. I don't think it's going to go completely bearish, but start of a retracement. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But this stuff right here, you'd love for that to get taken before the shorts start. Doesn't have to. We left a lot down here. We left basically a triple bottom over 3 different sessions on NQ. So that is a high priority target for the week. And then we have a lot of the volume imbalances that I've been showing you. But this is our gap. If I can get over here, this was our gap here on Monday or on Sunday, gapped up, and we just never came back to it. And this is what I was talking about, where we traded kind of back to the gap candle, which is large, and just never came back. So I do expect that to get filled in this week, and that could be, maybe it comes down there, bounces, and then that's easy to long from if we're going to sweep out basically an entire week of liquidity. At that point, if it wants to long, I'm open to getting on the ride. But until I see that, I'm not going to be really looking for longs this week. I'm mainly going to be looking for shorts. If it takes a couple days, so be it. There's plenty of news drivers that can bring something in, bring in liquidity to push us, to push us far down to these things. And I would say last month, not so much this month, but last month I was really, really looking for a retracement that just never came. We'd get some small ones or we'd get some displacement candles that just don't have any sort of continuation. So I think what I learned in that, or what I remembered in that, is that, you're not going to miss the moves. Try to be on the trend. Try to trade in the direction of the overall market. You're not going to miss big moves. If we get 2 bearish days in a row, and that's the start of a bearish cycle for the market, whatever, you're not gonna miss it. You're not gonna be confused. You're not missing out on anything, because you really don't want to get the beginning. At least how I trade. You're not looking for the very first short of the shorts, or you're not looking for the very first long of the longs. You're looking for continuation. I think that's the more reliable approach. Yeah, you do see people out there with swing trades that are, weeks long, months long, whatever, but we're day trading on prop firms. So we're looking for continuation. We're looking for good sessions. I don't love when the market does this. This is difficult to trade, in my opinion, especially when we're trading PM. I've been skipping AM pretty much the past 2 months, but we got a big move in AM That was continuation from overnight. We came back down. We didn't take London lows, and then we traded inside of AM session for the rest of the day. So I think that sets us up really well for the week going forward. But obviously, it was not super easy to read that on Friday, and then Thursday was brutal. Thursday was just given nothing. That's pretty much what I'm looking for, though. I mean, this is honestly a pretty standard week. We have plenty of news. I'm looking for a bearish week. It doesn't even have to be large, or we could just wick down and recover. I'm fine with that. But I do think that there's a lot. I mean, like, look at these volume imbalances and stuff. There's just so much down here to come fill in, to come sweep out, and to come rebalance in. I think it would make a lot of sense. If it were to long, I guess this is a better way to say it. I'm going to go into the week looking for these targets to be taken out. I'm going to start light. If it were to long Monday, Tuesday, I have more confidence that we're going to short later into the week. If it were to short right away, I'm going to get it. It might not be a ton because I'm going to start lighter, but I'm going to capture points, and then we will play it by ear after that. And we're going to have to do a little bit more in real-time reading. Because if it were to short really cleanly Monday, Tuesday, let's say, then Wednesday through Friday, you know, I'm open. Like, let's say that we started Wednesday down here. I'm open to, okay, we can go either direction at this point. We're either going to continue the short. We're going to just chop in here and balance, which I don't think is very likely with all the news that we have, you know, or we can long again, which that would be easy. But I will not be longing it from up here. That much I can assure you. So anyway, I think that it will be a pretty clean week overall, but we'll just see what we get. And we have the giveaways on Friday. So definitely get involved for that. I'll put this on the task list. But I mean, this is a pretty easy breakdown for the week, and I know what I'm looking for. And I think that everyone should be doing their own weekly analysis of some sort. I don't get too technical in my analyses because I'm just trying to mark out major liquidity. I'm trying to have a general bias. And, you know, once sessions start rolling, once we start getting displacement, then I know if I'm interested in taking that or not. Or if we get displacement to the upside, I'm looking to see if that's, you know, for this week, for example, I'm looking to see if that's legitimate or not. And if it's not legitimate, then, you know, I'll get a pretty good trade out of that more often than not. So anyway, I hope this helps. I would encourage you guys to watch this video, watch other videos of weekly projections, weekly analysis, whatever. Stay up to date with things, and then go into the charts and do your own and write down what you're seeing, or just make note of what you're seeing and then revisit it at the end of the week. See what you could have improved on, see what you were wrong about, right about, etc. That will help you if you're doing that every single week. And that is the goal, is to get more confident in your ability to analyze the market. So anyway, take care, guys. I'll see you Monday, and we'll be doing our usual schedule on streams. So take care.